Hi, good morning, everyone. Wow, how are you feeling today?
Great, awesome.
Wow, okay. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thanks for your support for coming. In fact, earlier on, we are kind of worried that no one turns out from our track. I'm not sure why. It's just probably a worry that because it's been a long while since we conduct this kind of face-to-face workshop. So I think without further ado, probably let me just bring you across the fun and exciting way of how deep racers have influenced the public sector in Singapore today. So today, I have actually two distinguished guests that will join me on stage later on to share their experience on running Deep Racer in their organization. So we have Benedict from SkillsFuture as well as Mr. William from ITE. I'll invite them to stage later on after my track. So just before we start, just for the flavor of everyone here, in case you are not aware, AWS is actually an official cloud partner for machine learning and artificial intelligence for F1 Ferrari team. So again, I'm not here to talk about F1, just in case you are worried. It's just for something that I felt is really useful and really fun to know about this. And we are kind of proud about it, though that Ferrari won second and third this year. No offense, I think all good next year. Okay, so I will be the one to talk a little bit about why we are running Deep Racer in the public sector, as well as how we are running it, and also what is Deep Racer all about. And after that, I'll have my counter co-guest from SkillsFuture to talk about running Deep Racer in the public sector perspective from the start upskilling and rescaling portion. Of course, I have William from IT to talk about the student learning journey using Deep Racer as part of their AI/ML curriculum. One of the main reasons that we are running Deep Racer is the fact that with the rapid advancement of digitization and digital services that is driven by AI, IoT, cybersecurity, as well as cloud, organizations across all verticals now has to have an online and offline presence and operations. With the fact of easy deployment of all the digital services itself, right, it's foreseen to growth that the digital economy will accelerate in the post-COVID manner. That in terms that upcoming jobs in the near future will have some flavor of digital aspects in it. And with that, it means that our workforce must be enabled with the right digital skills to develop, deploy, and support this digital service to grow with the economy. As based on the statistics itself, this year, it's kind of like 30% of the new opportunities created have a flavor of AI, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and of course, cloud computing. Let's go into deeper breakdown on how does this job further classify into tech-light as well as tech-heavy. If you notice, based on statistics itself, right, 2/3 of the tech-light jobs actually have 3 priority skills, or they classify as 3 priority clusters, such as data analytics, digital marketing analysts, as well as customer insight specialists. Let me give you an example of the current new role from marketing perspective that must have some flavor of data analysis as well as digital marketing, comparing to the traditional marketing jobs that it used to have. Well, of course, we thought marketing is beyond just doing the rah-rah and all those, like what they're organizing this event. No, we are wrong. Things have changed. So just to give you a flavor, these are some of the top skills for tech-light. While moving on to the tech-heavy perspective itself, right, you will notice that 50% of the tech-heavy jobs role now, right, will need to have 3 different skill clusters, such as like software engineers, data scientists, as well as AI engineer. And that also means that, a fun fact that I just read recently, from Star Wars, the voice actor of Darth Vader is going to he's going to retire, and in fact, they're going to use AI to remodel his voice. It's a fun fact. So with the likes of all these AI, IoT, data analytics ongoing itself, right, it's actually a driven force from the workforce itself, right, to get themselves upskill and reskill with the right thing. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Learning machine learning language, AI, ML, and any new skills is always difficult from the start. So how many of you, if today I'll tell you that learning AI ML needs to have a deep knowledge of programming, or I can even throw you a thick book of programming. How many of you will be interested? I'm sure none of you will be interested, right? So this is also a reason why in AWS itself, right, we are trying to put into context how to create a fun and exciting way of delivering AI ML training to all our customers. Of course, being a gamer myself, I would like to have fun and playing like a game, competing with my friends. I mean, literally itself, right, it's difficult. But good to know that we have introduced AWS Deep Racer since 2018. It's actually an educational tool, right, that was created and designed to deliver a fun and exciting way of running AI ML. So I'm sure some of the familiar faces here have run AI ML yourself, learning from Python coding to even using Deep Racer. I will hope that this experience can also be shared to the rest of the folks in the room itself over here. I think we all have fun. Those that run with me, show of hands. I'm sure you guys have fun running it, right? Okay, no problem. So throughout this whole Deep Racer experience itself, right, all the attendees from our Deep Racer workshop will be able to discover some basic reinforcement learning basics, as well as they can actually learn more about Deep Racer before they start to train their first model. Typically, for a model to work, to go around the track itself, right, it takes between 5 to 8 hours based on the race that we run so far. And the truth of the matter is that throughout all this, we don't just stop there after learning AML. In fact, in AWS, right, it developed a league globally, right, to allow you to compete with the rest of the world on quarterly basis or even in Summit. So at Singapore Summit this year, we actually have a Deep Racer track that is set up at level 4, Hall 403. After this session, by all means, you guys get yourself, have fun, try to get your hands-on experience there. We have a crew there all set up for you guys to play. It's a different track. So the top 2 folks that excel in the AWS Summit will compete with the rest of the global summit for the top prizes. Of course, top prizes, I'll keep the suspense, but it's going to be very attractive. That's why in the Deep Racer community itself, right, we actually have multiple ways of running it. Either you wanted to do in a physical race, like what we are doing right now, this year, or you can do it virtually. It's also fine because we don't want to restrict our customer not having space, but yet want to continue to learn. By all means, we can run it virtually. And if you want to take it offline to build within your community itself, right, you can actually start a community race, let's say across agencies, for example, or even across a department. And of course, to bring it one level up in the global stage itself, right, you can actually take your Deep Racer at the global level to compete in the open category and eventually move into the professional category. And of course, from the professional category, the top few racer itself, right, will be given a reInvent ticket to come to our Vegas to compete with the rest of it for the championship race. So it's like a very kind of championship league from a soccer perspective that you can compete folks throughout the world and exchange knowledge and continue to learn from there from each other. So let me give an example of what is reinforcement learning in a very simplified manner, just as not to bore everyone in this room. So today, if you were to train your pet dog, you will give a reward based on good behavior. And of course, you don't reward if the dog doesn't, your pet doesn't follow your instructions. And that will allow the dog to understand what is right and what is wrong, and they will kind of create this right behavior into their BIOS, and that's based on what we call a reward system. And of course, if you're lucky itself, right, you could have a circus dog by the end of the day. Well, you never know. So this is an example of a right demonstration of a very successful model that's been trained 8 to 12 hours, able to run in a typical basic reInvent Deep Racer track. So if you notice, right, the car is actually running real time with video analytics, getting sensor and reacting to what was given based on the algorithm. Of course, that's based on best case scenario, yeah. So you will ask me, how can I start after this session? What is the next step that we can proceed? To plan for a Deep Racer event itself, right, it's relatively resource intensive, but yet at the same time, it's fulfilling. I give you a flavor itself. Typically, the whole journey for virtual or physical, it takes around 4 to 5 weeks, planning from site survey to all the way to having the actual race, be it is a physical or virtual. And typically throughout this whole journey itself, right, we work with the customer to understand their key objective in terms of whether is it upskilling or is it a team bonding or is it a requirement for students as part of the AI/ML learning journey. So we kind of can customize based on each customer requirement to run it. So the actual race itself, right, for a physical race, it's probably we just need a day or if not, half a day itself. So this is a flavor, a high-level schedule that how long that it takes to run a physical race from the day that we qualify with the customer, whether a physical race makes sense to the target audience itself. The thing that you will also ask me, can you shorten this whole physical race duration? The answer is yes. If you notice, you look at stage 3. Stage 3 will determine how long you want to train the model. So we do have customers who like, to do the workshop probably in like 3 months ahead and let his staff to train like 1 month or 2 weeks, whichever. So stage 3 is the portion where it's fully customizable, depending on how long you want to run, allow your user to run the race, to train your model, sorry. And eventually, the race day is just technically speaking 1 day. And with the vast experience from our team itself, running multiple Deep Racer, or in fact 7 Deep Racer races since June, our team is able to set up and do the testing with all the Deep Race physical race within a day itself. So this is probably a duration 4 to 5 weeks. If you are keen, you can speak to the AWS representative. If not, you can speak to myself. After this session, we can further understand it at the booth, Deep Racer booth later on after this sharing session. So without further ado, let me invite Benedict from SkillFuture to share with you more on how SkillFuture use Deep Racer as part of the upskilling and reskilling for all the staff. Benedict.
Hey, thanks, John. Okay, so so I'm here to talk about how we had used Deep Racer as a team bonding and learning tool for our staff, right? In SSG, we collect a lot of data. Every time you transact with us, you call us in our call center, we want to understand you better, and we want to help our staff understand you better to prepare the environment so that we can tweak our programs to support you better, right? We embark on a journey of learning analytics, enabling our staff with analytics capability. As early as 2019, we took the first step to enable our staff, teach them how to use basic visualization. We took the second lead in 2020, where we allow them to explore data, the wealth of data that we have. We set up a pilot for Data Lake. And then in 2021, we fully operationalized a Data Lake. We allow them to self-service. We collaborated with partners to develop fraud models, to risk score every single claim, every transaction that comes through us. And in 2022, we started a Center of Excellence to spearhead analytics project, starting with sentiment analysis using our call center data. We established a specialist track for data analytics, and we are looking at new ways to enable our staff, because once you have built the foundational layers, the next thing is to enable your people to use the data to help our customers. And what we did was we went out to ask our people what they wanted in terms of training, because I think everyone knows that classroom training is very boring. When you sit down, like John said, give you a book on machine learning, you probably sleep within 3 minutes of reading the book. They wanted something more hands-on, especially when you talk about machine learning. These are some verbatims that the folks told us, right? They want something challenged, they want to work as a team, they want something interactive. And we went out there to look for tools and training materials that can achieve this. And we found DeepRacer, right? Through John's help, we found DeepRacer. It not only gives you the theoretical input of understanding a difficult topic like machine learning, it gives you a practical training to have a hands-on experience. The good thing is that the low barrier of entry, because we have a vast spectrum of users in the organization. As simple, I won't say simple, but as I would say people like the administrative assistants, all the way to the data scientists. So we ran a pilot. We had 12 teams, about 100 people. Age range as young as 25, all the way to 62. So lifelong learning is a reality, okay? Administrative assistants who have no coding experience to business analysts and data scientists. So in day one, what AWS worked with us was to give them the fundamentals. He taught us what is it about data analytics, what about machine learning, and this was the first time many of our staff actually touched the AWS console to do cloud. We talk about cloud a lot, but we have never hands-on provision services, and this was the opportunity. Right? The teams got together, they trained and refined their models, and on the second day, it's basically a show and tell, the race day, and everyone just uploaded their models, and I was surprised at the take-up rate because some of the folks actually started training like 20, 30 hours in order to make sure that their models was perfect as it could be, right? So you can see on the left, the training and the groups working together, the machine learning model, and then the race day. And this was the winning team. So if you can see in this picture, the oldest participant was part of the winning team, right? And within this group, there was administrative assistants as well. The verbatim that we got from the event is, to me, it was a success because we see that people are saying that I'm a data scientist, but I lost. What they did was they actually ripped up the whole model. They went into the code and then they started reprogramming it, but they still lost. So it's not about how much you know, what skills you have. It is about training and working as a team, right? Even there's another verbatim that came in and says, you know, I spent so much time training, but I lost. So they actually went back and reflected and says, you know, I'm actually teaching the model the wrong thing. That's why I lost. So this actually is a very good exercise for us as part of team building and teaching a very, very difficult topic, such as machine learning and artificial intelligence. Right? So now I will hand it over to William to give you a sharing about how AWS DeepRacer can be used for students as part of the enablement. William?
Thank you, Benedict. Thank you, Benedict. Well, I'm William Tan. Good morning, everyone. I'm a section head for artificial intelligence. You may be asking, why is ITE doing artificial intelligence? The reason why is to respond to statistics that John have mentioned in the beginning. Right, the new skills, you need data analysts, you need data engineering, you need AI. So I'm in charge of a course called Higher NITEC in AI applications. We also have a sister course in Higher NITEC in data engineering. For those who want short courses, we also do have short courses. And up and coming, yes, we're going to include the DeepRacer in our short courses too. So then without further ado, let me to go on to explain, because I think both of you, most of us in Singapore here will understand what's the mission of ITE, but not to our foreign guests. So let me explain. Institute of Technical Education, our mission is to create opportunities for students and adult learners to acquire skills and knowledge and values for employability and lifelong learning. In short, my students is from 17 years old all the way to 73 years old. You may ask you, William Junbo, sure or not, you got 73-year-old student. Yes, it's a 73-year-old housewife, and she can code in Python and do a simple Python game out. And literally, I love her. Why? Because I can tell my students, my grandmother can literally code better than you. And we need to challenge our students that way. So if that housewife during COVID-19, where she cannot go anywhere else and she can do coding at home and learn something, I believe all of you could, right? Correct or not? So no excuse to say, I don't want to learn data, I don't want to learn AI. Give it a try. If that lady can do Python, so can you. So vision of ITE, we want to be a trailblazer in career and technical education in work-study training. And how we do it? For you all to know that our students are very challenging students. They come from academic challenge, some are special needs, even some has a lot of family issues. And they are very challenging to teach with, to begin with. But how do we able to do that? We start with believing in them. We really believe in them, and we partners with partners that actually believe together with us. And we're glad to find a partner called AWS. They believe in our students and go through with us. So that is how we start the trailblazing in career, technical education, and work-study training. Let me introduce this picture. This picture is one of the most stressful picture of the year in 2022. Why? Because my stress, my bosses are there. My principal, my directors, my deputy directors. If I don't get this through correct, those who in public service, you know what is performance bonus, right? You will be terribly affected. Then you'll be worried, sure or not, can really train leaders and get them really learn machine learning? The answer is yes. Just like SSG leaders, they did so, so can IT leaders do so. So they actually, before this, they actually went through 1 day short course on introduction to AI. After that, they got a bit serious. They say, okay, I want to learn Python. All right, that one is another stressful moment in the career of my life. Okay, to teach your senior bosses about coding. You know, you can't scold them in class, right? It's just not, like my student, I can scold them, but how can you scold your boss? Hey, boss, this is so simple. How come you don't understand? You can't do that. But they managed to go through three days of Python course. Of course, it's not necessary to do that for Deep Racer. And finally, they got it through. They are very happy. Their model can run. Hopefully, this year my PB is good. Hopefully. Okay? So if we can do this for SSG leaders, we also can do this for our leaders in the public service too. Next picture. I want to focus on my students in front. Nearly 40 of them. This is what you call the Generation Z. They are very difficult people to teach with because before you can say, good morning class, I'm pretty sure they're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, watching anime, manga, movie, Netflix, whatever you name it. They're on their mobile device. Their attention span, as researched by researcher, is very, very, very short. Now, how can you engage them to learn? And you're learning a very difficult topic called machine learning. How to get them interested? That's why, boss, please, my bosses is here. Please remember, our job is very, very challenging. Please appreciate it very much. Well, give you a clue. Sometimes we need to understand our audience, especially our students. Get them, we student lecturers, we have to go into, look at what movies they're watching, what anime they're watching, and what are the things they are doing, what kind of K-pop they like. And with this, we actually found something that actually can engage them. I'll give you a clue. Can anyone name me a Hollywood movie that will engage our nowadays youth? Can anyone give me? Hollywood movie. Give you a clue, something to do with this, the wearing of today's topic. Anyone? You have 9 sequels. Fast and Furious, correct? You'll be wondering myself, why in the world this movie have 9? Yeah, I think it's maybe more than Star Wars or maybe Marvel, right? How can it 9? Because cars, fast cars, were able to engage youth, and they're able to capture their imagination. Why people love F1? This is the reason. And we found it that this really can engage our students. Now, I have talked so much. The best is to hear from our students themselves. So you can find them not only here in the later video, you also can find them at level 4. There's a group of them. They are so very eager to try out the model on the live car. And you can talk to them and find out more. And maybe that will inspire you to move further in your AI education. Let's watch the video. Oh, that's a very good question. If you can see the spark in our students' eyes, you will understand why we need to do this.
From AWS perspective, right, we actually enjoy the whole process of learning from each other, because as some of the students have said, it's all about collaboration. I talk about collaboration not between just reading AWS itself. It's also a partnership between how we bring the content over to IT to help the edu sector, right, to kind of learn the AI ML or reinforcement learning in a fun, gamified way.
It's quite new to me, but AWS make it easier for us to actually understand and use the reward function that they are given in default.
My biggest takeaway is teamwork. I feel that teamwork is very important, as if I don't know how to do this, I can ask my teammate and my teammate can help. It's not like those solo project that I have no one to ask for help and I need to Google it all myself.
For me, my key takeaway is we got to explore more about the AI card and the reinforcement learning. Because normally in the school, the teacher only teach us, so we actually not so understand about the reinforcement learning.
Reinforced learning create an entire simulation of new system, which allow it to take new actions or approaches which change course when failures happens.
I should actually not stop there and keep continuing to improve and do better and keep training the model.
It's quite interesting to see the competitive spirits among the staff, among the students, trying to one-up each other in race, and that actually created the motivation for them to actually learn more about artificial intelligence, and that's great. Throughout the days, there's been a lot of talk about teamwork, communication with each other, which are values that they can take away from this.
I hope you enjoyed the video and you are convinced, right, from the horse's mouth. And seriously, we did not script our student. It's actually at the actual race, and we just pull the student up. Let's come do some interview. And this is very candid comments from them. So you can see that as what John and even Benedict have shared, AWS Deep Racer is shallow enough for everybody to learn and deep enough for anybody to go deep. Right? So there is something that you can challenge. So if my students can do it, and just a reminder, if the grandmother can learn Python, so can you. So come on board and join us for this exciting journey. Now I shall hand back the time to John.
Wow, thank you for the sharing from Benedict as well as William. I'm sure at this point in time, you guys could be very energized, very excited about Deep Racer, wanted to learn more. Rest assured, there's a couple of series of workshops happening today. One workshop will be happening at the room just diagonally. There will be a Deep Racer workshop somewhere around 2 o'clock that allows you to train and learn some of the Deep Racer skill set and as well as reinforcement learning. Not to say that there's also another actual racetrack at level 4, Hall 403. If you guys want to get your hands on the physical race as well as the Deep Racer arcade there, right? By all means, it's actually free to play. We have crew there set up. We are here to learn and we're going to have fun today. So let me bring you to the last slide that I have for today itself, right? As what my CEO has said, there's no compression algorithm to experience. It's the same thing that where we start to learn things itself, right? You'll be able to get hands-on experience. There's no shortcut. You really need to go through the whole journey of this whole learning AI ML things in order to achieve what you want to have at the end point. So with that, I'll probably end off. If in any cases you guys wanted to learn more, there's a lot of digital course. You can do some scanning at the QR code. There's also some guided certification training. Feel free, you can scan and take a look. I'll pause here for a while. Okay, all good. Okay, all good. So with that, I'd like to thank again my audience as well as my guest speaker, William, Benedict. Give a round of applause to yourself as well as to the guests that we have. Continue learning and happy learning. Thank you, everyone.